guys, it's the captain here. I'm joined today by Jack Moore, who has swung by, gigging loads with your own band. People may have seen Jack on YouTube. You've got a bit of a following on there, and the band's touring quite a bit. But I guess we're going to get the sort of the elephant in the room out the way early doors in this video. Your dad, quite famous. Not a bad guitar player.
Yeah, he wasn't the worst, I suppose.
Tell us a little bit more about, see if you can guess which Moore may have been Jack's dad, but tell us a little bit more about growing up in and around a family with a guitar legend at the head of the table.
Well, I mean, it was strangely, it was never something that I really planned on doing. He never forced me into playing guitar or anything. He just kind of left me to my own devices. You never pushed the guitar into my lap and it was you got to play like this or anything. So I didn't end up actually playing until I was about 16 or something, surprisingly. And I kind of just, I played because, a lot of my friends were picking up the guitars, so I just kind of naturally just wanted to get involved, and I got a bit competitive, and I actually started to, they were all miles ahead of me because they've been playing for years and stuff, and I just picked it up really late. So I kind of, had a lot of catching up to do, but I had a bit of an advantage, to be fair.
Do you remember? Do you remember? I think it's quite normal for lots of people to almost kind of not want to do what their dad was doing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you remember that, or was it? Does it literally? You knew your dad was a guitar player, but it never really registered.
That was a thing. Thinking about it, naturally, I actually wanted to be a footballer when I was.
Yay! We all want to be footballers.
Yeah, when I was a kid. So until that dream kind of faded, it's you know what? I'm 16, 17. It's probably not going to happen now.
So what football team did you support?
I'm a Liverpool fan.
Ah, okay, fair
enough.
My sins.
But yeah, man, it wasn't.
Do you think Jurgen Klopp's going to be there at the end of the season? I just think it's important to get.
I really hope so. I mean, we're not doing too great now, but he's got time to turn. It was kind
of not going to Bayern Munich then. Oh, man, by the time this video comes out, he may have already gone to Bayern.
Yeah, he might have.
Who knows? I don't think he will. Anyway, apologies to 97% of the people watching who have no interest in football. But yeah, so you kind of, I like the fact. So I think a lot of really successful dads, I guess that they probably don't push. It's almost going to let you just feel your own. But were you a music fan even before you started playing the guitar?
Yeah, I was a big music fan. I listened to a lot of music. I just I never really just found a way of expressing in a different kind of way. And then it really was kind of a later stage that I was like, well, I have an urge to kind of get more immersed in the music, and guitar was just that kind of channel in which I could express it a little bit more. And I was into a lot of really heavy stuff back when I was 16. It was all Metallica, and
so this is in your teens in the 90s, and Metallica's massive, and
exactly
big grunge thing going on.
There was a lot of Nirvana going around. I was into that too, but I didn't really learn any of that. There wasn't kind of a real technical side to the Nirvana thing. I wanted to play fast and shred and just play a bit.
Was there?
Everyone's done it.
Did you have music that your dad would go, turn that off, turn it off, son? We are not having that. Aqua or
I never had a real
Steps.
Yeah, he wasn't a big fan of all the pop stuff, but I wasn't either, to be fair. I was more into there was a real Britpop thing as well. I loved Oasis and Blur, that kind of thing, which he liked as well, to be fair. But I didn't really it wasn't so conducive to shredding. You're not gonna be shredding over Blur or anything, but so I went the other way and just went extreme kind of.
Actual extreme, or just as in the adjective just, extreme?
Extreme shredding. Yeah.
That's cool. So, and if we just stay, because I kind of think most people will never, you're in a really unique position of how many kids are going to have grown up in a family with, where your dad's a rock star. Was it, are they like every Sunday there's all these other rock stars just coming around for a cup of tea, or was it, did it feel kind of crazy, or was it fairly normal?
Well, I mean, like I wish it kind of happened like later into my teens, like where I could appreciate it a bit more. But that was more present when I was, you know, like really young, like 5, 6.
Right.
Like there would be people around that, like if I had have seen them like when I was like 14, 15, like starting guitar, I'd just been like, man, you got to be kidding. Actually, you know what? Like later in my teens, like there'd be times like where we'd go to shows and stuff, and that was where I'd like meet people that I'd just really be in awe of. Like we went to, I think he was doing like this White Steak, like White Steak.
White Steak. They're like a White Steak tribute band. Yeah.
Yeah, he did this Monsters of Rock tour, like where it was like a real like heavier kind of deal, and like I remember like going backstage afterwards, and Jimmy Page was there, and like. I was like, oh my god, like, can you please just introduce me to Jimmy Page? I won't ask for anything ever again. Just do this one thing. But he was like, oh, okay, go on then. Like, and he just he was like, Jimmy, this is Jazz Jimmy, and like, he was like, right, I'll leave you to it then. I was like, wait, no, that's I just wanted like, you know, what's going on? Like, so he just kind of like left me with him. I was like, I just kind of wanted his autograph. I didn't like, and we ended up like having a good chat and stuff for a while, and I was just like, didn't know what to do with myself, and like I loved Zeppelin, so I was just like, oh, this is pretty cool.
So what? So you started kind of playing when you're about 16, which, like you say, is a pretty late sort of starter.
Yeah, it was really.
Did you know, was there ever a situation where it was like, right, I bought you a Squier starter pack, Jack, for Christmas, or was it literally just like, take your pick from some of the most famous guitars in the world?
I think the first, man, it's gonna sound spoiled, but
yeah, the first was a 59
right.
Les Paul,
yeah,
you know,
59 straight, you know, which I was like, oh come on, really, just a 59? No, like it was my.
Can I have a new one?
Yeah, come on, what is this? It's like sitting around for 40 years. No, it was like it was one of his custom like Les Pauls, but he'd. Like it was like actually you know what I had the Strat was my first ever guitar, like that was the first thing, because like we went in and picked it out because I was like massively into Hendrix, as you know, you can probably tell. But yeah, so that was my first like decent guitar. And then like 2 years later, I think for my 18th birthday, he gave me like one of his custom line ones, but like instead of like Gary Moore on the headstock, it had my name, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, so you know, I've had a fair few nice guitars. I've been lucky enough to.
And were you like a far? I mean, you said you were quite competitive. I mean, 16 isn't certainly not too old to learn to play, but no. As you say, I think, you know, a lot of guys or guys and girls would have been kind of perhaps getting into it from 12 or 13 onwards. And I met a guy called Jared Dines, who similarly was like late starter. I think he said he didn't start till he was 16 or whatever. And then by the time he was 18, he won Best Guitar Player in LA.
Wow.
And it was like, whoa, that's not possible. How do you do that in 2 years? You know, it's just insane. But, you know, how from 16, do you feel like you sort of progressed at the same sort of rate that maybe, you know, you would have, you know, in other words, if you'd started 4 years earlier, do you think you'd have been 4 years better? Or did you really kind of get good between like 16 and 18?
Do you know, I think the very fastest way you can learn is just by playing things that you love, because you're going to do it more. Like, so you end up like, and practicing doesn't even feel like practicing, you know, when you're sitting down and playing like things that you love, because it's just fun. The time just flies. You end up doing more than you ever thought you could do, really, by just learning things you love.
Did you get lessons from your dad? Was it, well, not like structured lessons, but would you sit and kind of like he'd show you stuff, or
he'd show me things, yeah, but it was never like a structured, right, we're gonna learn, you know, this like augmented fifth, and it was never like that. Like we kind of just sat down and kind of jammed and stuff, and I just like watch how he played, and he taught me like techniques and stuff. Like, and
was he a technical like theory guy, or was it all sort of very natural and just knew, just kind of like
he just had the most incredible ear for music. Like he really could, like, you could put anything on. It doesn't matter what style it was, like anything whatsoever. He would pick it up like instantaneously. I've never seen anyone like do that. Like really, it was really crazy. Like jazz, blues, like metal, like anything. Like he could just play it all.
Who was his favorite guitar player?
Well, he had a couple that he really revered. Jimi Hendrix was one of them for sure, and then B.B. King, absolutely. Peter Green was those three, I think. Oh, and Jeff Beck as well, actually. Yeah. Those guys.
Some quite good ones then.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were going to say something. None of those really surprised me in the sense I can see that. I wasn't sure if you were going to go like something like Hank Marvin. I was going to go.
That was the
really?
one he loved as a kid, actually. Yeah, he did like Hank Marvin. Yeah,
I think everybody of that age though, Hank Marvin was the superstar, wasn't he?
Yeah,
in like
completely.
Late 50s,
he was like the
sort of,
original. He was the OG guitar hero, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It's kind of yeah. Strange thinking.
Maybe that's where the red Strat kind of thing comes from. That sort of
the shadows kind of era.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm getting the thumbs up. Wow, that's crazy, isn't it? So that's. I mean, in a way, I know, in my sort of life, and people who are probably similar age to me will Hank has gone from like the sort of the joke guitar player that you can't really like because of like all the dance moves and the shadows and everything.
Yeah.
To just like now going, actually, when you listen to what he was doing, it's wicked stuff, and so good player, and and actually dancing and playing like that at the same time is probably really hard.
Yeah, think about it, it's natural.
Well, so what was your first kind of when did you start sort of putting a band together, and did you ever did you ever sort of feel like I wonder, does Dad actually think I'm really any good, or what's the sort of, because that must be I always sort of think if you're like David Beckham's son and you go and decide to play football, or you're Robert De Niro's kids and you decide to be an actor. I mean, what do you do when that's like it's like I don't know. It's that sort of, I don't know. I guess it's something in your DNA maybe gives you an edge, but it must be quite scary to.
Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely, maybe it's kind of naive, but it's not really something like I ever really thought about then, because I never intended on going into like and doing like straight like blues or anything, because although I love it, like I just kind of, I feel a bit more comfortable like doing like writing like more like accessible like indie like and like poppier kind of tunes, but like guitar based, but like I kind of I like writing like like writing songs, and blues might be something that I really explore like later in life. Like I feel like it would probably happen like as I get older, like I'd be like, what, like I want to go and do like a blues album now. But
so what kind of structures your stuff that you, because I must admit, the stuff I've seen of you on YouTube is pretty kind of straight sort of rock bluesy kind of stuff. So I kind of thought that was
I mean the stuff that you'll find online is like it's kind of it's kind of tells a different story to the actual, like my band, like it's not it's more like folky, like indie.
Cool.
Actually, which is it's good. I know it's going to surprise a lot of people, but it's something that I really love and really like passionate about, and I think we've got some good songs that we've been working on for a long time, and
So do the solos kind of take more of a back seat, do they, in a lot of the stuff you're doing?
They do. They're more like held back, and like like I try and get the feel in there as much as I can, but I'm not going off on a tangent and like just like ripping, and it's within the song, which I think is important.
If you could have any guitarist in your band though, who would it be?
Right now?
Who do you think would right now for this sort of indie folk project thing going on? Who would be which guitar player do you think could come in and really their style would fit perfectly?
God, that's tough, man. I actually really love the Strokes guitarists, like Nick Valenzi and Albert Hammond. Like they're really underrated actually. Like they're
very riff sort of based.
Yeah, they got a lot of riffs now. I don't know if they'd be up for it, but I'm here, so. No, man, I don't know. Like I feel like it's not going to require like it require like more of a songwriter that just kind of like worked within the structures of what we kind of do, as opposed to someone that really, but like always, you know, like I my ear like listens for like the feel and kind of like you know, I've always liked people that bend the strings still, like, and people that can really like, you know,
a field player over like a technical player.
Completely, man.
Talking to the Whitesnake thing, that was really I remember when Doug Aldridge and Kip Winger, I think, so a relatively modern incarnation of Whitesnake, and when you watch them play, it was like Kip had all the speed and the technique,
right,
and obviously amazing player, but Doug just had the feel, and he had the licks as well, like that. But like you say, there's for me like a real feel player that just plays the right note with the that gets the bend.
That's what separates people, I think. You know, like you can just play all the notes in the world, but then like if you can't bend the strings or anything, it's like, you know, like.
I still think that's one of my. There's a really famous guitar magazine interview, I think, with your dad, who, I'm probably going to get this wrong now, but he's playing with someone like Albert King, or pretty sure it's a King, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't BB.
One of the Kings.
What, you know, one of the good ones.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not, and I'm sure it's a famous interview, so someone will comment below who it was. But as far as I remember, Gary saying, you know, I've done this take on the solo, and he's gone balls out, full on maximum shred, and then the other guy's literally just gone one note, and Gary's just gone, you've done me. It's just like, you know, I'm done. It's like, so it is. It's you know, it's you know, I suppose the less is more. Which we love less is more on this, although we do know that more is more. But actually, and then we've got, even with the surname. Wow. Anyway, that
all coming together.
It all came together, in a totally unrehearsed way.
Yeah.
So did you ever have like a you know, get in a jam with, but properly do the band thing with your dad, like get him up on stage with your band, or did you go and?
Well, like. One of the first actually, maybe the first thing I ever did was get up on stage with him, actually. I think he played Brighton Dome back in like 2000 and whatever. He said, he was like, we did Blues Is Alright, and he was like, you know, just take a solo, like take the first song, I'll give you a nod and stuff, just do your thing. And so that was the first time I really got on stage.
How fast was the sphincter going at that precise moment when he was like, was it
like
literally,
F1.
it was full maximum, oh my God mode.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
I had to sink a few glasses of wine before that one. But then, like, it got worse, actually. Like, I mean, not the sphincter, but like, in terms of, you know, how many people I was playing in front of. Like, the next one was in Holland, and he brought me out to Bospop.
Right.
And I think I was like 20,000 people. It was like, right, well, you're playing this now. How'd you like that? So he threw me right in there, and he was like, you know, get off.
That's got to be the best. Everybody that I've met from the sort of the generation of the, you know, like that kind of, all the guys that were in bands in the 60s, all just said it was just like gig, and that's where you got all your chops down, and it was just because there's no. You can't do 3 takes.
Yeah, you just kind of sink
you've got to go, haven't you?
Yeah.
So it must be, I can't imagine, it must be a mental experience, that. So
yeah, it's crazy, man. But like the cool thing about playing that amount of people is that they're kind of just like a sea of faces. Like after a while, you know, you can't really see everyone watching you. And I know, like, you know, the thing about like guitar music like that is like they watch like what you play, like like hawks. And you just know, like, it's like, oh man, I don't want to. Am I allowed to say it?
You can say that.
So it kind of.
Were you pretty confident then? Were you full guitar face front of the stage, foot on the monitor, or were you just like, you know,
I mean,
I'm just going to literally sort of be here going.
Helps that scenario.
So is that what we're saying? That's the tip, is it? So all the young up and coming guitar players.
That's all you need to do. Like honestly, like just a whole bottle of whiskey, you know. least you think you sound good, and then it doesn't matter about the rest.
I must admit, it's just like the reason I'm laughing is because half of me is going, it's obviously the most irresponsible advice we're giving young people, but it's so true. It's just like, so I don't really know. Drink responsibly, but accept the fact that a bit of Dutch courage probably never did anyone any harm.
Absolutely.
So
that's the call. Yeah. I kind of wish I had done that before this, but
Well, look, I know you bought a guitar with you, and it would be. I didn't before you. I was very conscious of the fact that it must be. I think you come across as very well-rounded and accepting of the fact that your dad was this unbelievably accomplished and successful guitar player, and you're kind of just going, look, I'm my own thing, but it was cool, and I don't mind talking about him, and but let's it's pretty cool. But he did have some stunning guitars. Absolutely. Probably 2 or 3 of some of like the most famous guitars ever, electric guitars. So what have we got in the case?
Well, I brought so that's a blue Firebird that he bought I think he bought it like in about 2010 or 11. So it's one of the later ones he had.
It's just going to appear by the magic of. Whoa!
Yeah, thanks, man.
That's wicked.
So yeah, you got like a marble finish. This is like a custom. So I think there's only about maybe like a couple in England at most. And when he brought this one back, I was like, you know what? That's pretty sweet. And like I really coveted this one. I was like, look, can you just give me I need it.
How many did he have?
I think he had about it must be like 80 and like
a few,
maybe close to 100. I never counted them, but that's what it's something like that. Were
they
a
like?
Big collection.
Because I know some guitar players. I'm just trying to think who it is I'm thinking of, but there are some. I know who it was. A Keith Richards documentary I watched, and he reckoned he had like 1,000 guitars, and because it was almost, there was a period during the Stones where like literally every half an hour someone would just be going, have a guitar, and he'd be just like, okay, and they're just all in some lockup somewhere. But so you're looking about 80, so that's not a bad collection. And what sort of a shopper was he? Did he always buy vintage guitars, or was he just quite? I mean, that's pretty out there, isn't it?
I think he had like an addiction to buying guitars, honestly, because he just.
We can all relate to that.
Yeah,
can't we?
because it never gets old, does it? It's just you can just kind of, because they're all different in so many ways, and you just kind of take what you feel. But he loved Gibsons. That was probably the ones that he was buying Gibson the most.
I'm amazed, to be honest. I'd have thought Gibson would be falling over themselves just to give him guitars, but he was actually shopping.
It wasn't enough though.
Really? So he just needed more.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I'll just get more. I guess like the cool thing about going in shops is you can try them out and like see what's personal to you as opposed to
plug this in. Got to hear this. Mini humbuckers.
Yeah, let's give it a whirl.
Firebird just looks killer.
For me, it kind of feels kind of like halfway through like a Strat and a Les Paul, which is interesting. Like, and I kind of.
It looks like a bowling ball that's been sort of run over and made into a guitar.
Yeah, maybe that's how they did it. Maybe that's the secret.
I played the Bernie Marsden's got an SG that I'm trying to remember what the story was now, but there's some story where it's Bernie's SG and Gary asked to borrow it for some reason, for a gig, and then had it for like 4 years or something, and so it became quite a famous guitar that he used. I don't know whether we're talking 80s or 90s or whenever it was, but it's always, there's always like a weird spiritual kind of feeling when you play a guitar that someone else has played that you really admire, or it's sort of, I don't know, some of their DNA or whatever is kind of rubbed into the guitar, and it's that weird sort
absolutely,
of. It's very cool.
It's interesting when you pick up like one that's really just synonymous with someone. You're like, you kind of like try and imagine, like get in their head, like how they play it and stuff. I was lucky enough to play Rory Gallagher's Strat one time, and that was pretty daunting because I was like, man,
was he there? Did he sort of go, show us what you got then, Jack?
And
he was
like, thanks.
Okay.
You're okay. I'll just get a picture with it and I'll be out of here. No, man, like he it was actually through Joe Bonamassa. Like I went, he's a friend. Like he invited me to one of his shows, and he happened to be playing that night, and like he was like, just have a go, don't drop it probably. It was awesome guitar, and my heart was kind of pounding. And like I mean like just you really just feel the history in it, like the kind of, it's just so worn down as well, like with all the, he had that acid sweat thing. It's like really remarkable.
I'm guessing probably had something to do with the amount he drank, did it? It's just like basically just pure
cutting
alcohol
through
sweating out of his body, basically rubbing the all of the paint off of his guitar.
Completely.
There you go, another secret. If you want to really have a good relic guitar, drink more.
Drink more.
And
Your
sweat.
blood needs to be at least 25% alcohol.
Gosh, this is so irresponsible, isn't it? Like that. Anyway, what's about your rig to get kind of like your sound? What is, what's your go-to guitar and go-to kind of pedals and amp and all that kind of stuff?
Well, like usually I'm using a Les Paul like more often than not at the moment, and like I don't have like a huge rig. I don't I try and get the best out of the amps. Like I have like a Fender Princeton, and but I like a bit of reverb, and I like wah-wahs as well. So I have a Crybaby, use like a Holy Grail too.
Yeah.
So I kind of like really keep it simple, really.
I wasn't expecting you to say a Princeton. So how do you just crank that and get a bit of drive from that, or are you using?
I kind of like just crank it and like mic it up,
Who would you say your, like I'm trying to think. Whose sort of tone do you think did you listen to nowadays and just think, I wondered whether the Joe Bonamassa thing, because he's another guy that's very much like, Gibson guitar into a driven Fender amplifier.
Yeah, doesn't he use? It's not Dr. Z. It's like it might be actually.
I thought they were all. Last time I saw him, it was just all tweed Fenders,
Right,
and I think he has a fairly not very secret but not yet released signature Fender amp coming based. I don't know if it's based on a Bassman or whatever, but and his thing was like crank the amp up maximum, but use the guitar on like number 8 on the volume, and it kind of did this thing.
Right.
And then pedals wise, he's just like a wah-wah and a boost guy.
Yeah.
And it sounded killer when I saw him, but really, really amazing.
Yeah, I know he likes to get technical about the the finer nuances of electronics.
Yes.
He's really into
Cool. So that's a kind of cool vibe, and so you've never really, you're not kind of a more like an, weird modulation pedals or filter pedals or anything like that. I haven't gone through a shoegazing phase.
Yeah, well, like I kind of like doing that at home, like when like I kind of feel like I don't want to like project that out onto the wall and be like just like make everyone just sick. But like I do like to indulge, like I'll get more into the pedals there and just like really go at it with the delays and like whammy pedals and stuff. But there's definitely a time and place for it. I'm just trying to like maybe keep it off the records to an extent. But
that's the experimental third album.
That's it. Yeah, the tricky experimental third. But there's definitely a time and place for it.
So where if people want to find out more about you and what the band's doing, I'll put a link to your website below. But where's what sort of up and coming gigs have you got? I'm guessing this video is going to go up probably in about 2 weeks, so don't tell anybody about gigs you've literally got this week, because that'll just be gone. So what's happening probably later on in October, November?
Well, I think we might even be going to Dubai actually to be doing like a few gigs in January. Like that's like our next like proper shows, like as a band.
Oh, cool.
Before I'll probably be doing some other guitar stuff with bands, but as a band, I think those will be our first for a while. And like we're working on getting the EP out next month. So
cool.
that's like we're going to be pushing that hard. We've got a video coming. So yeah, we're going to focus on like just really pushing that out and making sure people hear it.
Well, good luck with that, man. It's brave and brave of you to sort of venture out and sort of stamp your name on the world as a sort of full-time professional guitar player. And I said you come across as a real lovely guy. So good luck, man. And as I said, I'll put some links in the description below. You can go and find out more about Jack and his band. And I think we'll just jam out, and you should play that glorious-looking Firebird.
Let's do it.
And then I'm going to play that once we've sort of finished, because it'd be rude not to. It's really loud. Big fretboard as well, really wide this way, isn't it? Hey everybody, thanks for watching the Andertons Guitar YouTube channel. If you're a drummer or a keyboard player or interested in music technology, you might find one of our other channels interesting, and I'll put details of those in the description below. If you want to find out more about the products we've just featured, please click here. If you'd like to buy a t-shirt like this, please click here. If you want to watch another video on our guitar channel, click down here. And to subscribe to our guitar channel, click here. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.